we have a group of madmen, I would say, who have this war fetish going, and they're trying to put pressure on Obama to escalate these things. In March, 3 Secret Service people sent home from Amsterdam on a presidential trip because they were drunk. One of them passed out in the hall. The day after, 2 Secret Service, 2 counter snipers were put on leave after they were in a drunk driving crash in Florida. In June of this year, we have Obama in a gymnasium in Poland, and somebody secretly, surreptitiously films him in there. Well, that filming device could have been an explosive device. That could have been everything over right then. And
there have been tons of other incidents in that time with Secret Service agents in South America.
Let me deal with the Cartagena. That's a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I know, but there have been so many others, and I need to take this break on time, okay? Dr. Webster Tarpley is our guest. 1-866-391-1020 is our number. KDK Radio News Time, 4:33. Dr. Webster Griffin Tarpley is our guest. He's an American historian who puts history in a context that we can understand the crises that the country faces and indeed the world faces today. Dr. Tarpley, I'm sorry to have interrupted you, but you were giving us the rundown of why you think some of these Secret Service incidents are direct messages to President Obama.
Absolutely, and why 2014 has been such a scandalous, outrageous, bad year for these security threats to our president. And that is the question of Syria. It was clear at the beginning of the year that the Syrian terrorist rebels were in the process of being defeated. They were being systematically kicked out of their strongholds like Aleppo by the existing rather normal Syrian government. And then with the coup d'etat in Kiev around the middle of February, the U.S. had overthrown the existing government of Ukraine and insisted on installing a puppet government. And they wanted, the war party, the rogue network, wanted that backed up. So Syria and Ukraine have dominated. They've hovered over all of these incidents this year. So again, Amsterdam in March, agents were drunk. Florida in March, agents were in a crash while driving drunk. Poland, a camera is allowed to stay in the area where the president is doing his workout. That's also extremely disturbing because that device could have been anything. September 16th, as we've just learned, Obama's at the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta, gets into an elevator, and the Secret Service has allowed a gun-toting felon who happens to be a security contractor for the CDC to get into the elevator, and to underline the threat, the guy, instead of just standing there where he might have attracted no attention, takes out a cell phone and starts filming Obama in what is supposed to be a private setting. And that's only when he gets fired and is told to give up his gun that the Secret Service apparently sees that he had this gun all along. Then we get to September 20th. We actually have not one but 2 incidents, right? The fence jumper who got into the East Room and the Green Room. Everybody's focused on that. But there was also a car. There was a car in this Pennsylvania Avenue blocked off area. This is actually much more dangerous because whatever an individual can carry, well, that could be very serious. But a potential car bomb, which is what every car has to be considered as, that in the area right in front of the White House, that's extremely dangerous. And then we've just gotten another one. On September 27th, when this whole brouhaha was already going on, we had a fake member of Congress impersonating a congressman from New Jersey get into a secure area near Obama here at the Washington, D.C. Convention Center. So I submit to you, that is too much incompetence for bungling. That is a pattern. And what we're trained to look for in these things is patterns. Individual cases can always be refuted. There's always something wrong with each of them. But when you have a pattern, that pattern takes on objective reality. And that's what we have here. And of course, it's a multi-year pattern. It goes back to Kennedy. It goes back to Roosevelt. I mean, we can't go through all that now, but check my website if you want to catch up on all that. But the idea is that these are political messages. And, of course, the idea that the Secret Service is in chaos, that's fine. From the point of view of the secret government, they want an agency in chaos. All the more easily can they bootleg in their specific operations that aim at specific messages or worse. So I would say it's not enough to fire the director. You'd probably have to fire the top 4 or 5 layers of bureaucracy. Just send them into early retirement. And you'd probably also have to institute a system whereby one agency would be brought in to spy on the other agencies. And it was, instead of having the Secret Service only in charge of presidential security, you might want to bring in a military agency, right? The DIA, I don't know what, or the ATF, and have each one spy on the other.
You mentioned the Ukraine. About 2 weeks ago, I got into a heated discussion with one caller who listens to this station during the weekday times when more mainstream people are on than I. And they could not believe I was entertaining the idea that neo-Nazis were involved in the overthrow of the duly elected president there, and that they were wearing the Azimov Brigade and others were wearing neo-Nazi insignias, including the SS Waffen and the swastika, and waving these flags and killing people. What can you tell me about neo-Nazi involvement in the overthrow of that duly elected president?
The point is that in the west of the Ukraine, the part that's close to Poland and indeed to Czechoslovakia or Slovakia these days, there's a city called Lvov, L-V-O-V. It's sometimes written L-V-I-V, sometimes written Lemberg in German, sometimes called Leopolis in various languages. And this is a center of the people who, when Hitler came into the Soviet Union in the summer of 1941, welcomed him and actually formed an SS division and fought on the side of the Nazis against the Soviet Red Army. And as that tradition is very, very strong, that's the right sector, right? The people who are in power in Kiev today are very heavily drawn from that western Ukrainian Lvov or Lviv area, Lemberg, and that is that's their tradition. And what we find, as you precisely mentioned, the Azov, A-Z-O-V, right? The Sea of Azov. Well, they have the Azov Battalion, and we have pictures. You can find them on the internet. Just type in Azov Battalion, and there you will find steel helmets with a Nazi swastika. Some of them have this double S, but it's a kind of a pointy double S. Those are called runes. That's supposedly an old Nordic or Norse kind of writing that the Nazis cultivated. And there's another one called the Wolfsangel, W-O-L-F-S-A-N-G-E-L, that they also sport. That's one of their favorite kinds of symbols. And in terms of ideology, they have all of that. And I would also add somebody like Poroshenko coming here. He wanted to get a lot of U.S. aid. He wanted modern tanks, modern aircraft, maybe modern naval vessels, helicopters. He had an immense shopping list. And according to what I've been able to learn, he got nothing. He was able to address the joint session of the U.S. Congress, which I think is a national calamity. It's a shame for the United States. But in terms of what he wanted, he didn't get anything. So that's why you see these incidents proliferating. Every time Obama does something that the war party does not like, and it's almost always not aggressive enough, not enough warmongering, and so forth, that's when they deliver a message with one of these incidents. And I'm sure Poroshenko went back home, wailing and complaining that he wanted billions upon billions of dollars of U.S. military hardware, and he didn't get it. And that's why the war party is so angry with Obama. They're actually apoplectic. You might have heard Lindsey Graham, 3-4 weeks ago saying, if Obama doesn't get it right, ISIS is coming over here and they're going to kill all of us. Well, that is absolutely absurd. That is raving. They have no such logistics. It's crazy. Look at those aggressors in the past, much better organized, couldn't do it. How can this group of, 30,000 psychotic patsies ever hope to cross the Atlantic Ocean and come in? And this leads us to this.
But people would point out that some people did on 9/11.
Well, that's a very long story. I've written a book about that. Take a look at it. You can order it through Tarpley.net. My finding is that is not at all what happened, and even within that crazy frame of reference, the barriers to that are much greater, or should be much greater today than they were.